Right now, going solar makes good sense, not only because of rolling power cuts, but because of government's plans to incentivize those going the extra mile. Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa recently announced National Treasury's plan to implement policies that encourage the deployment of solar energy. These include tax breaks and changes to the bounce back loan scheme. The question now is, how will this benefit the average South African, you and I? Now, Financial Director at Keegor Group, Michelle Austin, joins me now live to discuss this further and tell us what she thinks. Michelle, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. So just first of all, explain to us what would be the tax benefits of going solar?
Good afternoon. So it's not morning anymore. How are you? Thank you for having me. So there are two different tax breaks. So depending on whether you're a business or you're an individual, would depend on what the tax benefits are. So for businesses, there is what we call a Section 12B allowance. That allowance has always been there, but it's been temporarily enhanced to encourage rapid private investment to alleviate the energy crisis. And the keyword there is rapid. There used to be thresholds on generation capacity as to allowances. But basically what this allowance means is that businesses are now able to use 125% of the cost of renewable energy assets that are brought into use during the 2-year period, so starting from 1st of March this year until the 28th of Feb 2025. So let me give you an example. I think that's the easiest way to understand it. So, for instance, if you spend 1 million on renewable energy assets, you are able to claim 1.25 million at a 27% tax rate. So basically what that means is that you are able to reduce the amount of tax that the company would have to pay by 337,500 in its first year. So that's the benefit for businesses. And then for individuals, it is for rooftop solar only, so it doesn't include inverters or batteries. So it's to me, it's a little bit nonsensical because only 20 to 30% of the cost of a solar installation is actually going to be the solar panels. But basically what that incentive is it's a tax rebate, so it's a credit. It's not a deduction from your taxable income. So basically what that means is that it's limited to 15,000 Rand per individual. It means that the amount of tax that you pay would be reduced by 15,000 for the year. So if we work backwards, that it's limited to 15,000 and it's 25% of the cost of it. So if you work it back, it's a cost of 60,000. So only 60,000 can be claimed against your tax liability. So it's a little bit of a concern for me because, is this incentive only meant to help the individuals who are actually able to afford solar in the first place? What about the people who can't afford to spend 60,000 Rand on solar, or 60,000 or more?
And that's exactly what my second question was going to be about, whether or not this leaves out the poor. But at the end of the day, it turns businesses and homes into power producers, right?
Yes and no. So I think what it's doing is it's providing a short-term incentive so that we can actually drive sustained investment. I think it might not be able to drive sustained investment into renewable energy in the future. So, I think we need to, the tax breaks do make it more financially attractive for businesses and for households to invest in renewable energy infrastructure. And it could encourage them to start producing their own power. But there's other things to consider as well. So what about the upfront cost of installing the equipment, the ongoing maintenance cost, the regulatory and logistical challenges that are involved in connecting to the grid? So I think that while it remains a step in the right direction, it also remains to be seen how much of an impact it's actually going to have in turning businesses and households into power producers.
All right. So you don't sound like you really fully supporting these tax breaks, so you think they could be improved?
I definitely do think that they could be improved. I think that there's a couple of concerns that I have. The one is for the poor in general. There's a couple of regulatory challenges which I know the government is working on, and access to financing. So I think that in general, I think that there needs to be a more comprehensive approach. I think for businesses, I think it's great, and I think it will definitely help. But it's going to benefit the businesses who can afford to finance the upfront capital expense themselves, or who have access to funding already.
All right. Thank you so much.
And then, yeah, in terms of individuals, I think that a lot more could be done.
Michelle Alston, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA and for speaking to us.